Let's welcome on our guest line the subject of Get Me Roger Stone, Roger Stone. Roger, great having you back. How are you, sir?
Great to be here. You're one of my favorite Patriots.
Oh, well, God bless you. Are you excited about if it's true that you say it's important to be famous or infamous than anything else, your level of fame is going to go up a few more notches with the Netflix documentary. I hear the Netflix is pretty popular, Roger.
Well, Mike, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
Well, you're talked about a lot, and listen, with all the Russia stuff and some of the scary things that have happened to you, I thought it was perfect timing not only to talk about this documentary, but the role you've played in this whole amazing Trump story. Because as the documentary says, you were on board way before anybody else was. You were one of the originals. First of all, give me your reaction to the firing of James Comey and the media hyperventilation and the Democrats who suddenly act like James Comey is Mother Teresa.
Yeah, I mean, 2 days ago they hated James Comey. They thought that he lost Hillary the election, and they wanted him replaced. Now Trump fires him. Chuck Schumer flips overnight. James Comey's the greatest thing since sliced bread. As far as the Russian collusion narrative, this is a steaming plate of BS. This is a scandal in search of evidence for which there is none.
Right.
John Podesta, the Clinton campaign manager, invented this charge to distract from the fact that he and his brother and Bill and Hillary Clinton were deeply in bed with the oligarchs around Putin, made millions of dollars after that association. What better way to distract the people and say, oh, Trump's in bed with the Russians?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I specifically am jonesing to testify for the Senate and House Intelligence Committees. I don't need immunity. I don't need a subpoena. I'm already thinking about what to wear. Let's do it.
But, of course, every time the Democrats advance this pathetic narrative that the Trump people colluded with Russia, they all point to you. They all figure, well, Roger's got something to do with this. He's got to be, because he's this operative who's been effective and impactful over the years. He plays hard. He rolls up his sleeves. I'm sure you've been talking to the FBI numerous times over the last 6 months, right, Roger?
Actually, I have to tell you the truth. I have not heard from them. I'd be happy to. I'm happy to answer any questions. But, Mike, I do think, based on a New York Times story on January 20th, that I've most likely been under surveillance since June.
Mm-hmm.
A number of things have popped up in the internet and in news stories that could only have been gleaned by someone who hacked my email accounts.
Right.
And therefore, you'll find a lot of funky stuff in my email and in my text messages and probably my phone calls. I'll tell you what you won't find. Any Russians, any Russian contacts.
And incidentally, before you dismiss Roger as being kind of a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist about surveillance, today we spoke to Senator Rand Paul, who informed us that he's been told by 2 reporters that there is indication and evidence that he has been surveilled, that his lines have been tapped and everything else, and he's trying to get to the bottom of that. So there's a lot of shadowy stuff going on. But, of course, the Democrats are holding up the shiny object saying, oh, Trump's people colluded with Russia. Russia impacted the election. Yeah, Russia forced voters in Ohio and Wisconsin to vote for Donald Trump, didn't they, Roger?
Well, and more importantly, I mean, I do think the House and Senate Intelligence Committees have an important role. We do need to investigate what Susan Rice was doing, looking at classified surveillance material.
Yep.
We do have to realize why FBI Director Comey and NSA Director Rogers said under oath in front of the House committee there was no surveillance at Trump Tower.
Right.
And that's a lie.
And Roger, it's not like Susan Rice is refusing to testify before Congress or anything, right?
Yeah, although that seemed to come and go out of the media like almost overnight.
Blink of an eye.
You know, we got to get Paul Manafort and Roger Stone up there. Never mind Susan Rice.
Yeah, forget Susan Rice and her refusal to testify. It's incredible. Roger Stone is with us. He's the author of The Making of the President 2016, How Donald Trump Orchestrated a Revolution. I've always wanted to ask you this, Roger. You've been senior campaign aide to 3 different Republican presidents. You were with Donald Trump in an official capacity. and then you weren't. And I've asked you this before, but for the benefit of people who are going to watch the documentary tomorrow on Netflix and continue to follow your amazing story, why are you too radioactive? Are you just too controversial, even for Donald Trump?
Well, maybe I'm too cantankerous and too out there. I mean, at age 64, I recognize two things. One, Donald Trump is his own strategist and always has been. You don't need two strategists. His money, his name, his future, his reputation. He's entitled to do it his way. I had some early disagreements on him on technical issues. He, by the way, turned out to be right, and I turned out to be wrong. Secondarily, I had my book, The Clintons' War on Women, was about to come out. I did not want people to say, oh, this is a Trump project.
Right.
Trump must have paid for this. Trump must have had it written, because he had nothing to do with it, although it was the quintessential oppo dump for those who wanted to oppose the Clintons. And lastly, I had met Corey Lewandowski, and life is just too short to deal with a little twerp like that.
You're not a fan. All right,
well,
fair enough.
His word was no good. He just lied to me too many times, and I didn't need it.
Roger,
so I figured I could be more effective for Trump from the outside. And Mike, if you go back and look, from the moment I quit, I was beating the drum as to why Donald Trump would be a great president.
Well, and there are millions of people who say you've been completely vindicated. I happen to be one of them, and I agree wholeheartedly, and I'm grateful for your voice. I'm just fascinated by how bad it's gotten from it, and I just want to, you've been at this a long time, Roger Stone. Tell me about your gut reaction from the Anderson Cooper eye rolling to Kellyanne Conway to the Washington Post fake news story that they now clarified, oh, Sean Spicer wasn't hiding in the bushes. They're trying to do everything they can do in the mainstream media to stop Mr. Trump. We knew it would be bad. Did you think it was going to be this bad?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. The ruling elite in this country, the two-party duopoly, the elites of both parties who have run the country into the ground, look down on Donald Trump and look down on his voters.
Right.
Hillary called us deplorable for a reason. So that dismissive attitude, now they're in shock because Trump won, and he endangers their whole agenda. They like things exactly the way they are.
You're right.
They don't want any changes. And Trump threatens the orthodoxy. He's going to do things differently. It's an elitist phenomena to look down on Trump and his supporters. And the mainstream media is flailing because they feel themselves losing power. And the rise of a vibrant, robust alternative media, shows like this one, Infowars.com, Daily Caller, Breitbart News, Town Hall, so many others. That drives them crazy because their monopoly on political information dissemination has been broken.
Listen, I can't wait to get out the popcorn and pull up in front of the Netflix tomorrow night and watch Get Me, Roger Stone. It debuts tomorrow. Roger Stone, we always are grateful for the time you could spend with us here on the Mike Gallagher Show. We'll talk to you again soon, sir.
Great to be here.